Our clothes, as a mirror, reflect the history of civilization. It is more than second layer, as nowadays fashion and style became the way of self-expression, seeing deep symbolism in surrounding material things. Speaking via things and rituals is absolutely in Kazakh style. That is why the history of national costume is an incredible world exposing our mentality.
Today in the program, quiver with arrows is a sign of love. Da Vinci against the steppe horseman. Why do we need epaulets? From the battlefield to the fashion show, that is how we can characterize the appearance of military-style clothes on the world's catwalks, and as a consequence, in the wardrobes of fashionistas. Last season, almost every fashionista, fashion lover obsessed with trends, had a jacket decorated with embossments, epaulets, and other patches. However, is this clothing item fashion forward? Of course not. Like many other attributes of the military costume we wear today, without even knowing that they have hundreds or even thousands of years of history. More about this in today's issue of Oriental Vintage. You will be surprised when you learn that a lot of our clothing pieces used to be part of the military garment. The ammunition of a warrior of the Great Steppe or soldier of an ancient civilization was functionally no less important than his dress or everyday clothes. Warriors always had to be ready for the battle and fight to protect their territories and independence. We have already started talking about military-style jacket. It is also called the Guards of Hussars uniform, the jockey or Hungarian jacket, name taken from the place of popularization. It is worn with chevrons and without, with embroidery on lapels and textured buttons. However, in our opinion, the most interesting element of this jacket is the epaulets. Not everyone knows that the attribute was originally created not for the distinction of military ranks, but for a specific practical purpose. Epaulets most likely evolved from leather shoulder pads. Epaulets are shoulder pads. Their functionality was that if a warrior had sloping shoulders, even if he was strong, he could not carry a bow. As quiver slid off his shoulders, even a broad-shouldered warrior was in need of shoulder pads to lift the shoulder slightly upward so that his weapons and ammunition did not fall or slip. Once epaulets were invented to fixate a quiver with arrows, then accordingly, it is the invention of archers. The question is, where were such resourceful archers from? Alas, there is no definitive answer. At the same time, it is undeniable that nomadic civilizations were one of the first to come up with the structure of composite bow. The only thing I can say confidently is that complex bow is steppe nomadic product. By the way, Russian scientist Akladnikov once discovered it in the Baikal region. The most ancient find refers to the 2nd millennium BC. Since that time, complex bow was one of the elements in military affairs. It existed until the 19th century. For nomads, bow has always been a special kind of weapon, among the so-called bieskaru, a complex of 5 weapons of the steppe man. It was the only one that allowed to fight at a distance. It is no wonder that children would train marksmanship from a very young age. In addition, a good bow was estimated at a cost of 5 to 10 horses. That is, a whole fortune. Robin Hood himself would envy the quality of nomadic bows. Unlike English analogues made of simple wood, the armament of steppe warriors was made of horns, tendons, leather, or deciduous trees. The technique of fighting always honed and evolved.
когда вы вставляете стрелу, прикладываете к луку.
When putting an arrow to a bow, on the one side there was a bow, and on the other side it was very convenient to press fingers so that an arrow does not take it away to the side. This way, an arrow was fixed between the bow and finger, and it was very convenient. This ensured greater accuracy and rate of fire. This technique of bow tension was accompanied by mechanical hand injuries. The decision that archers took centuries ago inspires jewelry designers today. Wooden or stone rings were used in order not to injure fingers when stretching complex bows. I guess even from the Masalas, when the first bows appeared, came the need for the first rings, stone, wooden. And from here it went, rings as decorations, rings as a social significance in society. It should be noted that archers wear rings on their thumb. Is this not recent years' trend among jewelry lovers? In addition to echoes in modern fashion, traditions and rites of archers are reflected in symbolism, moreover, in very romantic one. Herodotus gives an interesting information. For example, he gives such a story. If a Scythian likes a woman and he wants to show his respect to her, he leaves his quiver of arrows hanging on her door. If the quiver is inside, then a woman is also interested in him. If the quiver remains hanging outside, then he is rejected. Quiver with arrows. Whose attribute is this? Do you remember the heart pierced with an arrow? It is a sign of love. That is where all these symbols originate. A very lyrical explanation of why Cupid is represented in the image of an archer. But unlike the fictional winged baby on the cloud, a real warrior on the battlefield needed comfortable and practical clothes. The first meaning and function of a warrior's attire is to protect him from blows. And on the other hand, to allow him to attack. Therefore, military clothing reflects the history of military technology development. Another detail that we got from fearless ancestors is almost invisible in clothes, but very functional. What unites a fur coat, a skirt, and a jacket? The presence of a slot, a cut processed in a special way for comfort, freedom of movement, or for decorative purposes. Imagine, this is all for the convenience of carrying weapons and riding. Here we have practical significance. Try to sit in a fur coat, or a coat with no real slots. It will go up to your shoulders. Or carry a weapon to avoid hindering the costume, hanging down quietly. There were 2 slots on the side, where a sword or sheath comfortably hung. On one of our previous programs, we told about the fact that weapons and other items necessary for the warrior, for example, steel, purse, or battle axe, were fastened to his belt. It is functional, and men always attach great importance to the belt, because it is a symbol of masculinity. It should be noted that, according to experts, during the confirmation ceremony, Han was not only raised on white felt, but also griddled, which meant willingness to serve. Russians have a saying, start doing something by rolling up your sleeves, and Kazakhs start their work girded. Let us look at the medieval miniatures of Central Asian rulers, including Timur. Timur in one miniature riding on horseback ahead. His robe is unbuttoned, not girded, but all the people around him are girded. Here is a symbol of the belt. Let us, however, return to the present. The show of the Spring-Summer 2013 collection of BCBG Max Azira made a furor in the fashion world. Critics predicted an incredible popularity for the new accessory on the models. It was a sword belt that, for the sake of justice, first appeared on the catwalks 2 years earlier during the Defile of Hermes models during the period when Jean-Paul Gaultier was still a creative designer of the brand. Sword belts are designed to carry cold steel. The word is literally translated from French as wear a sword. Later, it was also used for carrying firearms. By now, military sword belts have changed, but the attribute is still held on the shoulders of a service shoulder strap that fastens over the belt. Previously, sword belts were modeled so that scabbards for cleaver and bonnets could be attached to it. However, fashion industry has different priorities. In the past, natural animal skin was used. Nowadays, we have a lot of choice in the market. Thus, different materials such as natural leather, leatherettes, as well as fabrics used for sword belt manufacture. According to experts, the world trend is only gaining popularity in Kazakhstan. Mostly young women who want to emphasize the independence and strength of their character order sword belts. Such women are not afraid of experiments. Well, in the fashion world, epitage has long become one of the ways of self-expression. Some people wear them over coats and jackets in winter. Looks very refreshing. It is an actual trend because each time the sword belt is modified. Something comes into fashion, something comes out. Now, designers are actively using leather sword belts in their collections. However, experts suggest that in order not to look too grotesque in this provocative outfit, one should still adhere to certain rules. The principle of the outstanding architect, Mies van der Rohe, less is more, is perfect in this case. It is to be worn with strict dresses, with no decor. Could be worn as an accessory with shirts, turtlenecks, and overcoats. It should not be worn with complex styles or combined with other accessories. I wear a sword belt in everyday life. I wear it with evening dresses. People get interested. Sometimes I even get more orders when I wear a sword belt myself. The bonus for non-trivial accessory fans is that the sword belt has ceased to be a commodity of exclusivity luxury brands. Today, this accessory can be found on the shelves of the mass market at affordable prices, as well as some other invention of our nomadic ancestors, which is actively used by both men and women. Heels certainly had a functional significance. For a person on foot, it was very uncomfortable. Therefore, only horse riders needed heeled shoes in order to hold on tight in the stirrups. On that, the leg does not fall forward in the stirrups when stopping or when slowing down horse run. It can be confidently said that this shoe element first appeared in the nomadic culture and was invented by them. Hypothesis that the heel appeared after the invention of the stirrup is reasonable. It is worth recalling that the first traces of horse domestication were found on the territory of modern Kazakhstan, near Buta village, and the finds themselves comprise more than 5,500 years. I think that it appeared in the pre-Huns period. It was the invention of the stirrup that ensured unconditional military superiority, as it increased both the speed of the movement of military force and, most importantly, ensured a more confident shooting on horseback, ensured better rate of fire and aiming. Thus, heels certainly appeared in nomadic culture. Information found in the modern sources on this issue is contradictory. There is a theory that the high heel was in fact invented by Leonardo da Vinci, who, as usual, was ahead of his time. However, there is no actual confirmation of this. Experts believe that it is possible that the Italian artist introduced everyday shoes with heels without a bootleg, but calling him the creator of the attribute would be an exaggeration. The real heel is the most durable, the most resistant, and the most reliable. Maybe not the lightest, but it's a layered heel of puff leather. Here, we must say that the farmer, in agricultural crops, there is no such high technological level of leather treatment.
Нет такого высокого технологического уровня обработки кожи.
Because farmers work more with wood, stone, and metal, but organic materials are in abundance only in cattle breeding civilizations.
Но органика, органические материалы, они...
Because it is inconceivable that a nomad would walk in bast shoes, in shoes made from bark of a tree. Firstly, there were no trees, and secondly, it was completely unfit for riding. Continuing the theme of riding, it should be noted that leather shoes with a high bootleg was also most likely first used by nomads. Otherwise, any journey in the saddle would cause considerable inconvenience to the rider. Horse riding in boots barefoot was just unbearable, so it was necessary to have another layer, soft, tender, and strong enough to protect.
Слой между телом, причем слой мягкий, нежный и достаточно прочнейший, чтобы защищать.
Kazakhs call this invention baypak. Its world analogs are stockings and socks, which, by the way, also returned to fashion in the past seasons. We described this in detail in past programs. In general, one should not underestimate the importance of ammunition and weapons for the steppe. One of the Kazakh proverbs say, the most important thing in a plate is food. The most important thing for Jigit, young man, is his weapon. Weapons are not just an attribute of warfare. The weapon for the steppe man is a spiritual object, his friend. In some tales, even the soul of Batir is in his arms. And of course, during big toys celebrations, council weapons was left outside. But as a symbol of a free man, as a symbol of a warrior, several arrows were allowed to be fastened to the belt. If a man appeared at General Council outside the house without a weapon, he was shamed. Firstly, he did not have a right to vote. Secondly, younger men were allowed not to give away their seats. Interestingly, the so-called military style in civilian clothes was formed after the end of the First World War. In connection with the deficit of clothes, it was necessary to alter the service form of the soldiers. People gave a new look at the phenomenon in the 60 years of the last century. Perhaps wearing camouflage, the youth protested military conflicts or simply expressed themselves. Nevertheless, today there are several directions of this style, including high military, that is masterpieces from haute couture. Well-known beauties and style icons, famous artists and Hollywood actresses flaunt in these outfits. It should be agreed that it is nice to realize that partially these outfits were created long ago in the Great Steppe by our nomadic ancestors.